Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the second half of the Smite Pro League. I'm Tom Battinger. We're going to get into Luminosity versus eUnited. First of all, let's take a look at the snapshot of how all the teams have been doing so far. Right now, sitting up on top is going to be eUnited. The defending world champions are 5-1. They've looked really clean so far. Space Station, we just saw them beat up their opposition. Counterlogic Gaming, who find themselves in the 5th position. Luminosity has to find a win here today. Otherwise, well, they'll just have one, and that's not very good. So LG and eUnited, the top versus the bottom, should be very fun. Joined here by my analyst, the best of tacos. Very excited to get into this one. How you doing, bud?
Feeling pretty good about it, and should be a really interesting matchup. I think that most people are probably already anticipating what might occur based off of what we saw in the last game.
Sure.
Healers galore.
Yeah, ton of healers. We didn't even see the Odin. Players went, you know what, we're not going to look to shut down the healing. We're just going to look to kill the healing. And the Mercury pick came through. The Mercury pick came through in the clutch, and the Mercury pick came through with the wins as well. 2 wins for Anister, 2 wins on Mercury. Really curious to see which direction these teams wind up going in. So LG, we know that they like to play. Kiki over there in the solo lane has a couple of choices that he likes to go with.
Some success recently, though, for Luminosity, and I think that that's going to be exactly what they need to be that extra motivational factor. They've been struggling a lot here in the summer split, and again, I think that traces back to the whole fact that we were just talking about on the cast, where the competition in general in North America has definitely risen.
Yeah, looking at what this team has been able to do off of the back of the rookie, keegsmate in the middle lane has been a very big part of what Luminosity considers their victories. Even when they lose, this mid laner winds up looking strong. Last week, did miss out on one of the games. Oceans had to come in and substitute for him, and still was fine. But I'm sure the team much prefers to play with Keegs here because I think they're just a better squad when Keegs is making moves.
I feel like almost anybody would feel that way about having their main roster guy in as opposed to the sub. But Ocean's still a very strong candidate, though, to fill in. He did the player coach responsibility that he needed to. Even found some solo frags against Hurrywin, so not completely out of the loop at least. But for Luminosity, of course, now that they've got keegsmate back, now that they have their full roster back, this is a very real opportunity for them to keep that momentum going from their last set and maybe look to bring another one home.
Got to keep that one in mind. Like we said, the top versus the bottom. This is the 6th place team. Luminosity can certainly, I think they can beat eUnited, believe it or not. You know, it's top versus the bottom, but the whole league has been very, very, very competitive. And I think eUnited, though, stepping into themselves here and just been on top of the world as well as on top of North America.
The big thing about eUnited is that I still feel as though they funnel a little bit into that aspect of we play to the level of competition that we're against, and because of that, I can definitely see a possible upset here from Luminosity. I mean, Luminosity, you can never really count those guys out. The last time a team did, they ended up with Weekend solo farming their Titan.
That's very fair. Right there in the middle, Venenu, the middle laner. This guy, you know, it's funny. eUnited is very active in other games, most notably the console world. This guy just looks like a COD player, I feel like.
You think so?
He just looks like a COD player.
I mean, I don't know. I could kind of see. I don't really know what COD players look like.
He comes through with like the Nike Roche runs and like the cool guy haircut and like the short sleeve hoodie that for some reason eUnited rocked. I don't know. I can criticize, and I'm actually complimenting him. I can criticize the short sleeve hoodie, but I can't criticize his game.
You better not be disrespecting the short sleeve hoodies. Those are actually pretty clean.
No.
I like them.
No, I message Clerky every day, and I say, look, the short sleeve hoodie is not the play. Sleeveless hoodie or bust.
I'm just going to start messaging him to make more. Give me more color block patterns.
We're just going to go back and forth. For what it's worth, I think eUnited does do a decent job on everything besides their short sleeve hoodies. So let's head into the short sleeve picks and bans right quick and see where these guys wind up. eUnited with the first pick overall. Luminosity will be answering back. Of course, that is reflected in the ban phase as well. Are we expecting to see the healers banned or picked?
A little bit of both, maybe, even, because I don't think that Luminosity really likes leaning towards those healer compositions, but I know for a fact that it's in Keegs' God pool also. I mean, prior to dipping over into the console world, he was a heavy PC player, and he did a lot of ranked, both conquests, a lot of duel especially. He knows matchups very well, and is pretty familiar with how to adapt to gods. And I think that one of the big things about Keeks for me is that he looks so natural doing it.
That's the key. Every time I really watch Keeks, this guy is just out there letting the game come to him and still finding dominance. And that's what's really impressive is when you watch some of these other dominating figures, most notably I think of junglers primarily, it's them forcing these plays, it's them coming with the ganks. keegsmate just kind of sits there and goes, "Are you really looking at me?" and then just shoots you in the face. Won't have the Thoth. That'll go to eUnited. But Terra will be a choice for LG. And they're going to follow that up with the Cerberus, none of which will be in keegsmate's hands.
I still think that both of these picks do leave a little bit of ambiguity. Sure, you know what Luminosity's front line is from the get-go, and that's kind of nice to be well aware of in advance, but Terra and Cerberus, these are very interchangeable between support and solo, although ideally, probably expecting to see that Cerberus in the solo lane, Terra in the support role, Earth and Fury, not a global ultimate any longer, hasn't been for some time now, so it's much easier, I think, to find success with Terra in the laning phase.
It's also a composition that, sure, Cerberus is a decent anti-heal character, but isn't a, I picked this to deal with healers. It's not an Odin or an Apwash, right? Like, he's slightly against healers, but can fit into any composition. So eUnited now have no real plan of what LG's doing. Thoth, Artemis, and Serqet. Late game coming out for eUnited. Serqet will be able to help them get there, though. LG, Terra, Cerb, and Hachiman. A little bit of mid-game focus, but still, I think this composition is not telling us anything. LG are just sitting there going, we can do whatever we want.
Well, Clout has looked fantastic on the Hachiman, too. Every single time he plays it, he always seems to find himself ahead. And
yeah,
I think that it's exciting to finally get to see this matchup one more time of Clout versus PandaCat. And PandaCat at that on his Artemis. He's the OG Artemis of the pro scene.
He is. I mean, he started with the Blink Artemis. We were like, what are you doing? And then we saw what he was doing. He was winning games, folks. Ban directly looking at keegsmate. Also keeping in mind the long-range initiation would shut down players. The Wheelish ban, also rather interesting. Weekend has been very strong on that character as of late. But the Morrigan, most likely in the hands of keegsmate, could wind up on Weekend, but certainly think it's going to be in the hands of Keegs. This character brings a lot to the table, I think.
What about a solo Morrigan for Kiki?
That is also a very big possibility. I have no idea if Kiki plays it, but I will always say that's a very big possibility.
Do you want to know how you find out if Kiki does or doesn't play a god? Is the god a female?
Yeah, I knew.
If yes, then Kiki can play it.
That is, I think I said this the last, that is the oldest joke in Smite. The oldest one. We have heard it every single time.
But is it a joke or is it a fact?
It's a joke of a fact. Daji will be locked in for Weekend, putting the Morrigan in the hands, I'm going to say, of keegsmate, but if we see a mid-lane Cerberus, don't be surprised.
Okay.
Kumbhakarna, the lockup for eUnited, that'll be in the hands of PBM.
All jokes aside,
actually it won't.
I really like Luminosity's composition. I think that the Morrigan ultimate, if they're able to execute this with the Daji, having two Powwows, one to just burn everything out originally, then you pop your Terra ultimate of the Earth and Fury, go into the secondary Daji Powwow. That's problematic for anybody, even the composition that eUnited has opted for. And more importantly, Daji, probably one of the primary best assassins to deal with a Thoth.
That's very true. Daji can catch up to the Thoth. I am not going to ask you a prediction. What I am going to, well, I'm not going to ask you for upset prediction. What I'm going to ask you, an Artio and Kumbhakarna prediction for eUnited. Who is Benji playing and who is PolarBearMike playing? Because we've seen a lot of solo Kumbha.
We've seen a lot of solo Kumbha, but I think because there's a Hachiman, you might want the Kumbha in the support and the Artio in the solo. I only say that because of the attack speed.
Yeah.
It's slow, and I think that Kumbhakarna is just way more annoying for a Hachiman to deal with, but you never really know with these guys.
That's kind of what I'm feeling as well. All in all, I just want to watch it. Number 1 versus number 6. Let's get right to the action. Casters, take us away.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Taco. Finch and Tolly here as we move into eUnited versus LG. And Tolly, I'm going to pose the same question to you. Do you think you agree with Taco that's going to be the Kumbhakarna support and Artio solo? It's just that cut and dry?
It definitely feels that way. We haven't seen a Kumbhakarna soloing since about that Season 2, Season 3, when Purple and Red Pod was available to be purchased at level 1. And since we kind of changed that up a little bit, less Kumbhakarna in the solo. It just makes more sense for it to be in the support position anyway.
Well, who do you all at home think is going to win? You can vote in the Mixer poll right now and let us know your thoughts on that one. So that way we can see just how wrong you are, just how right you are in Mixer channel. Just love giving you all a hard time.
Wow. Chat being wrong about a prediction? I mean, what are your
Unheard
predictions right now?
Unheard of.
How are your predictions faring out thus far?
Pretty good, you know. I'm 100% since mine are off screen and untracked.
Oh, off screen.
I can be as great
fair.
as or as bad as I want because mine are untracked. Yeah.
Flawless Finch over here, the double F.
Well, already some trouble for PolarBearMike. Not quite flawless as he takes some poke in the jungle. Had to fall back. Clout and Geno appear to have some pressure, but it looks like they're going to fall right back to the purple or red buff, right back to red buff, and let eUnited go ahead and push this wave up. I like this idea to sort of just give up the lane clear.
Against an Artemis, it's so troublesome to try to box into her at level 1. It's all about the crits at level 1 now. 5% doesn't seem like a lot, but when you can stack it up to 3 times, all of a sudden that 15% can really change the tides of battle, especially if Lady Luck is by your side.
Especially when you're rocking 0%. Any person can feel a little bit rough when she's got that chance and you just don't, as they come over and grab their own red buff. And now finally Luminosity come back towards this wave to start clearing it up. So that's what the call was for them. Just give up that early pressure, try and secure some of their own jungle, and eUnited is going to get their own red and purple buff.
And because the crits happen at the red buff and a little bit at the purple, they're able to clear it fast enough that the potential invade from Geno wasn't in time to snatch that one away. This time, however, Luminosity's dual lane, they actually pushed the lane surprisingly fast enough to the point that eUnited didn't lose much of any experience and barely any gold under that tower.
But totally, Sprint has been so ubiquitous in the duo lane, like almost always purchase the upgraded Sprint. Both of these supports have elected to go with the Shell tier in this slot, and looks like they have both upgraded them as well. So a bit of a switch up from what we've been seeing as the trend lately.
Well, you don't need to sprint if you're just going to hold your ground and Shell anyway. You're going to win the boxing exchanges, and against PandaCat, trying to absorb some of those basic attacks that could potentially crit you, not a bad idea. It's just better defensively than anything else, whereas Sprint can be flexed both offensively and defensively.
Seems like Mixer chat leaning a little bit towards eUnited as Weekend comes in aggressively into the enemy jungle and takes those back camps. Didn't go check the speed buff. Might have had a chance to strip that one away from Scream since he's in mid lane, giving a hard time to Keegs on the Morrigan.
Trying to get some neutral farm objectives this Weekend, getting the right side mid Harpies. Now making the rotation for his own speed buff. Scream gonna get there first before Weekend gets to his respective speed buff. Still a little bit of a slap fight in that duel lane. Nothing too much to write home about. But now that Geno's level 3, he has the full combination of Terra available to him.
That's right. Terra's one of those ones that can struggle a little bit early. The wall can be okay for level 1, not the best clear, but getting that stun can help set up if you're boxing pre-level 1. But now Terra's kind of in full force with the root combination, the wall, great clear too. So we might see things swap up just a little bit from how it was early, where eUnited kind of had the free run of the lane.
Look where Scream is positioned around the enemy's blue buff, waiting and daring for Weekend to start his own blue. Meanwhile, Benji able to just force Kiki under his own tower line. Scream waiting for his time to strike at the blue.
Well, Kiki looks like he wants to come join it. Instead, goes back to the tower. The smalls have been grabbed, but the actual buff itself is still here. Kiki taking some poke from Benji. Even gets interrupted in the middle of that ghastly breath. Blue buff is dropped by Scream and stripped away. Weekend now has a chance to get rooted. Still has some mobility. Has to use beads because it's inside the cripple field and still can't get away.
This is the problem with Dachi. If there's nobody to teleport to, you just can't get away.
And now ends up falling. Venenu gonna grab first blood, making the rotation over. It's gonna be Keegs. He has turned in the Serqet himself, but it's still not enough. Venenu very comfortable forcing back the mid lane mage.
Surprised to see him make that rotation happen very quickly. Hitting level 5 first, being able to get the Serqet ultimate before Scream was even level 5.
That's right.
That's a possibility. So still getting a first blood, very important. That kind of advantage is Venenu, whose Thoth is renowned. One of the best Thoths in North America. It's either him or Basket. And in that very first week of North America SPL, that Thoth had about 100% win rate, where eUnited won the first game, and then Space Station Gaming just kind of came back in games 2 and 3.
United needed to be able to win that too, because as you said, in spring, that's kind of how LG came out of the gates and really were looking strong when they took United, when they still had a little bit of, adaptations to make to the Season 5 meta as a whole. Now, though, United back on top, looking strong, even a little bit stronger than Space Station, as they've lost even to Splice. So United want to try and stay up near the top. Remember, they won that World Championship. Haven't been #1 in the Season 5 just yet, but want to try and get back up there now.
They're trying to shake off that rust, I would say, between winning Worlds and then Spring Split. They got a little bit too comfortable for their own good. Other teams a little bit more on the prowl than eUnited. But they're definitely making the statement since they came back. They had a very lackluster first half performance of the Spring Split coming back in the second half. And then this time around, after losing earlier to Space Station Gaming, it was a nice comeback earlier this week where they found their revenge after the rematch, and this is putting them closer and closer to securing that top 2 land contention for the Masters land.
It can be a little bit tough when you're on top. Everyone else kind of aiming up towards you, and Screammmmm aiming towards the solo lane. Kiki falling back to the tier 1 tower, but they're coming for the blue buff yet again. In fact, Screammmmm is beyond that by those back XP camps. Doesn't want to give any free space over to Weekend.
Venenu's so accurate. And with this rotation from both Weekend and also Geno, Keeks is in an awkward position where he's forced to share the experience as Venenu, hugging the wall, sharing some of the experience on the right side mids, whereas Venenu's also getting the solo farm. So that's why you're seeing this half a level, maybe even full level differential.
Well, Venenu has had the beads forced away. Earth and Fury comes out as well, but Keeks getting controlled by PolarBearMike. That's the reason he's still alive. Now they have a chance to do the turnaround as the epic uppercut is used to keep another member out of this fight. PolarBearMike was the MVP of this engagement.
Oh, they even spread onto KikiSoCheeky. Look how far away KikiSoCheeky is after Weekend goes in. PBM right here gets the Rudolph. Palau being used. The ambush avoids or Deathbane avoiding every single shot. Weekend, without any mana, does have speed buff though.
There's a chance for the collapse, though. You already identified it. No mana available for the jungler. And now the rotation from PandaCat to come find the auto attacks. Weekend will fall. 3 unanswered kills now in total for eUnited as they start to build a lead over LG.
Clout not wanting to use the mounted archery for the zoning purposes, would rather have that for his own escape. And the fact that Venenu survives that was just remarkable. He dashes and he stuns keegsmate during the invis, I think, in the middle of that lane. And that stopped any sort of follow-up afterwards, even charging his ultimate with intent, knowing that there was already a turnaround potential, knowing he was either going to be 100% safe or that he could at least get it off before his death. Despite missing Geno, the mindset was still there, and the collapse from eUnited taking full advantage of Geno's overcommitment after that Earth and Fury.
Because that's really what it was. It was a well-timed bead from Venenu that kind of set it up, and PolarBearMike rotated in to help out as well with his mez, used the epic uppercut to try and keep Weekend out of it a little bit longer. It was well played from him to sort of set up for Venenu to escape and then have the turnaround potential, find the kill. eUnited now up about 2,000 gold very early on in this match. 2,600 experience. We're not even 8 minutes in.
That's true, and it could get a little bit more troublesome if Venenu is able to survive. There needs to be some play, some successful play from LG, and there it goes.
That's an all-in commit into the mid lane. The ultimate comes down from Keeks as he turns into the dodgy. Just going to use the Palau since it's going to be going away anyway, so might as well get that free damage out, and then turns back into the Morrigan.
Okay, that's what that was. I'm like, wait a second, why is Weekend doing that? No, that's keegsmate. Yes, I understand now. Gets off the ultimate. You're right. Need to use that just for good measure. It's also good safety. Good ability to use that satellite vision to see if there's anyone else coming across the map. So good use of that Morrigan ultimate. Good use of the dodgy follow-up.
Going to help them out a lot as they finally find a way to get a kill on the board. Just talking about how early we are in the match, it only feels like finally because of the pace eUnited have been setting. Luminosity do find an answer back with those beads down from Venenu. There was really no way for him to get away from the control from Geno, and they find the kill.
Oh, Keeks probably overstaying his welcome though, but the target's actually going to be Geno for the moment because Keeks goes invisible, gives him that extra mobility to get away. This time we can go into the Palau to avoid the last breath.
Yeah, this is the actual dodgy that's up on the Palau this time. Forces the beads out from Screammmmm. PolarBearMike and Venenu want to try and come punish, but Ben takes a lot of damage up into the Stygian Torment. Keeks finds that kill, comes right back down. Now PolarBearMike needs the root so he can find a way to escape.
KikiSoCheeky with a perfect stun to prevent any sort of follow-up. That stun, if that stun doesn't come out perfectly, Venenu follows up his dash, hitting probably Weekend and chasing him down, but Kiki at the right place at the right time, hitting that paralyzing spit. Not an easy task to do when forced to switch a camera angle like that.
And it's a little bit easier to be in the right place at the right time when you've elected for that blink as opposed to some of these other relic choices like teleport or meditation, which we see over there for Benji. So Kiki making full use of all all the tools at his disposal and is able to eventually make the rotation over and help get that kill.
Haven't talked too much about the Hunters, but pretty standard stuff thus far. Having about an 18-stack lead is PandaCat over Clout.
Oh, yeah.
Being able to have that one kill was a nice measure upon the rotation from Weekend, just picking up the pieces.
Kind of walked over and threw out that last auto, huh? Seems like that's what Hunters are really good for, but PandaCat made sure he came over and helped get that kill as cleanly and efficiently as possible. That way, Scream can be free to go ahead and start rotating out of there. No help coming over for Weekend. And it has helped him get a bit of a lead over Clout, as you identified, even though these Oracles are going the way of LG.
It's always interesting to see how teams prioritize their picks and bans, with KikiSoCheeky going for the Cerberus very early in the draft. Their first 2 picks, there was the Terra and the Cerberus together. And against Splice, Kiki definitely had a great performance to start things off against Divios' Hades, and then kind of faltered a little bit in games 2 and 3, and that's something that LG have been kind of consistent about, like doing great one game and then dropping the ball on the others.
Kiki's in a lot of trouble in solo. Did use Stitchy in Torment, but Scream just too strong with that last breath. Now Weekend is here, rotation coming from Keegs as well to try and punish the aggressive, but Benji dodges all the chains. Mounted archery does land. That's coming from Keegs on the ultimate transformation. Changeling lets Weekend find the kill onto Benji to at least trade the solos out 1-for-1.
Scream could not get close enough to really do much of anything. His last breath was already down, used his escapes to avoid the powwow. Despite Benji dying, definitely giving Weekend a run for his money with his accuracy test.
Well, that's actually a zoning ultimate. Even though Weekend can't hit, the only reason he misses is because Benji puts himself so far out of position by coming back in towards the powwow that does set up for the rotation from the rest of the squad. So I'm sure Weekend would have preferred to just hit the chains, but it works out either way.
I mean, hitting a bear that's doing a bunch of 360s and barrel rolls, like, you're not going to be hitting that very often.
Barrel rolls? Totally. You've reached new levels today.
It's hard.
I like it.
It's so hard to hit a barrel roll bear. BRB. Barrel roll bear.
And he will indeed be right back as Benji makes his way over to the solo lane. Blink from PandaCat, his patented Artemis strat, mounted archery from Clout saves him. That's just a good feel-good shot for PolarBearMike, though, to hit him.
We need to have that in slow motion.
That'd be great.
Just like the mini, like...
Just roaring as he makes his way to try and chase down a horse. That does free up the space, though, for eUnited to come take a look at the Gold Fury. It's at half health. Weekend is here for the defense. Keegs as well goes up onto the powwow to force them to reset, but they hold it. eUnited stands strong and grab the Gold Fury. Weekend blinks in to look for a kill, but gets deleted. Scream now wants keegsmate as well.
He's going to get the last breath applied onto him without an Aegis. Wow. He has no life. Geno couldn't even peel because he was up in the sky from a perfect epic uppercut. PBM knows how to play both offensively and defensively. Venenu's not done yet. Doesn't hit the stun, but hits 2 out of 3 hieroglyphic assaults. Benji with the flank. In goes Scream for the last hit.
Wow, this went about as bad as it could have gone if you're LG for a Gold Fury that was essentially a 50-50 toss-up, if you want to give that much credit over to Weekend on the powwow. But instead, they are able to grab the Gold Fury, grab 3 kills, and come back over to the middle lane and put some pressure there, too, with a great rotation from Benji. eUnited always taking a mile from an inch.
You say 50-50, but the powwow damage versus the final judgment damage, not even close. The intent from Weekend was to force the reset rather than anything else. You pull PBM to your powwow, you force PandaCat outside the circle. All of a sudden, Gold Fury is going back to her original spawn location, regaining a little bit of health, and buying more time for your teammates to make the rotation for the potential steal. But a little lacking in the rotational category was LG. Couldn't get there in the nick of time, but Weekend still wanted to force something afterwards.
Yeah, he went in and ended up getting immediately controlled. And if this comp does one thing, and it does a lot of things very well, by the way, one of those things is controlling you, especially when you're in that range around the Kumbhakarna, as now they want to go aggressive on the back XP camps, or at least PBM does. Epic Uppercut actually moves him out of range of the Venenu ultimate, so Weekend will be fine as the team looks for the retreat.
United's PandaCats forcing the defensive ultimate out of Clout. Despite having that one level of disadvantage, this time secondary powwow connects onto PBM, and that's all that's needed. Goes in the sleepy pass. No, he doesn't even go in the sleepy pass. keegsmate gets destroyed right away. Weekend, congratulations. You got the passive of PBM, but now what?
And unfortunately, now it's actually PolarBearMike who's the one that's able to go into the passive, and you hear the laughs coming from Venenu and PolarBearMike as they enjoy the fact that their support's the one who actually gets to proc it and stay alive. Now there's a chance for Geno to get dove as he gets interrupted by the Cobra's Kiss. Venenu finds the kill. Tier 1 tower now being threatened, and it will collapse as well as the Tier 1 in duo.
Getting 1,000 gold between those two Tier 1 towers, just adding to the onslaught that eUnited is amounting for. Almost 6,000 gold in the lead. Almost 7,000 experience to follow suit. And this is a very heavy train to slow down.
Totally. This happened so quickly, it feels like, though. LG were trading with eUnited efficiently, at least in the kill department, but that play on the Gold Fury, the overcommit there by Weekend, being able to find another kill in mid lane, that's really blown this game wide open.
It definitely feels that way, and there were some good plays from LG when they made that tower dive onto Venenu, but they couldn't get anything afterwards. Every single time that Venenu was either dead or out of position, LG just didn't really go for the Gold Fury, even though keegsmate can turn into the Thoth himself and look for his own final judgment.
That's right. Every time that eUnited get a kill, it's been 2 kills and a buff, or 3 kills and a Gold Fury, 6 seasons and a movie, whatever you want to call it. eUnited have really been able to get the stuff after the stuff. That's why it's a great phrase. And LG, on the other hand, have just been finding the errant pick and not much else.
Not able to really get anything on the board. LG just kind of going to have to play defense. That early great play of the tower dive was good, but I don't think they're going to have that same opportunity without any real towers to fall back onto.
Now, eUnited playing aggressive into the jungle here, Tully, looking if they can find a gank opportunity or at least a buff to steal. Weekend wants to come in to defend, but the blink from Scream gets the Cobra's Kiss to land. Already forced up into the Palau, and again, not able to find the chains. It does at least pull in Benji, but no one there for follow-up, and Venenu free to take the shots.
Geno gonna try to get disrupted. A good pull from Kiki onto Benji, but that's a bear, and there comes the damage from the final judgment. Weekend very low, but just able to survive.
But Scream is not done chasing. He dives beyond the Tier 2 and now getting controlled by the walls. The rest of LG are coming in to try and collapse on him, but eUnited are still here in full force. Scream makes it back to the tower line. Benji there to tank and makes it out okay.
Good meditation. Kiki forced to use that shell just to disengage. Woo. Good shots from Venenu's Thoth. And I'm looking back at these compositions, and I'm thinking back to the eUnited versus Space Station Gaming set of this Thoth versus Morrigan, actually. Baskin playing the Thoth and Venenu playing the Morrigan, because that last team fight, it was keegsmate that transformed into the Terra. Same exact mind process that Venenu had in his set against Space Station, which honestly won them that game. They were on the back foot the entire time, but that secondary Terra allowed them more control and more teamfight utility of the Earth and Fury, being able to just swing the damage back in their favor.
Wow, Pyromancer goes the way of eUnited there, Tully, to add on to their gold lead. About 7,000 out in front, 17.5 minutes into the game. 8,000, really close to 9,000 experience to just make matters worse. And you can even see that reflect in some of the builds. Weekend felt forced to go into a defensive option, has the Spirit Robe, whereas Scream, he's just gone purely damage up to this point and is looking to try and cause more problems. eUnited at this point are in control gold and experience-wise, but also able to build a little bit more aggressively.
It also helps eUnited the fact that they're forcing so much pressure onto Weekend that he just seems to be flustered at this point, missing some of his Palau ultimates, forced to go into the defensive beats, defensive Palau under his own Tier 2 tower almost. This is not the position that you're normally used to as a jungler. You're the one that's usually forcing the plays and making something happen.
KikiSoCheeky gets controlled. eUnited are able to grab the Gold Fury, and Kiki now in a whole lot of trouble. PolarBearMike deletes him very early on. keegsmate now has to fall back, but it's Weekend that gets locked down and Weekend that gets deleted. Venenu finds that damage. Scream nowhere near done yet. Keegs falls as well. Geno has to try and find a retreat path. 3 members for 0, and eUnited land the max range route, and they're going to come look for Geno as well.
Under the Tier 2 tower, 4th victim after the Gold Fury. eUnited on an absolute tear, and with all that pressure on the right side of the map earlier, they forced the beats from Weekend, they forced the shell out of Kiki. Those 2 relics not available around the Gold Fury, and that was very easy for eUnited to capitalize, where they got the Gold Fury with a nice final judgment. Actually mistimed by Venenu because Clout was able to squeeze in a basic attack, but it just wasn't enough against PandaCat's damage as well.
Well, Fire Giant's going to fall down now. eUnited have nothing standing between them and a chance to try and grab this objective. Even going to use the final judgment for good measure. But Toli, you highlighted it correctly. They forced LG into that bad fight, and now they're free to go back and spend all that gold they earned for themselves and try and expand those builds out even further and get ahead of LG right now. We can see it reflected in those 4-level gaps in the mid lane, a 3-level gap in the jungle, 4 levels over the enemy support, only really Clout staying even with his opposition.
So you know how there's always like code name alerts for like when you're in danger, like code red or whatever? 14,000 gold, 20 minutes in.
Yeah, you need some help.
Yeah, you're going to be calling everybody. Like NSA is being called right now, FBI, like LG needs some help. And they're calling everyone under the sun.
Look at how comfortable Benji's able to feel. What's that last item he's got there? Is that the Book of Thoth that he's worked into that build on the Artio? Just at a certain point, it's just too much. Maybe it's the Polynomicon?
Yes, that's Polynomicon, exactly. Trying to do extra basic attack damage to towers.
That's disgusting.
Getting some extra damage, not a bad idea. You're so far ahead at this point that it makes a little bit of sense. Like, this is a snowball item. It makes also a lot of sense on potentially
I suppose.
Chronos. Like, if you're trying to siege towers as Chronos, like, this is what you're most known for.
I love this. Benji, man, he's trying to bring the damage. Has the Void Stone, Lotus Crown. That's going to help him all out, providing just a little bit more damage on this Artio as Phoenix on left-hand side gets seized. Earth and Fury comes out from Geno. He gets knocked up into the air and falls right back down to damage. Weaken now blinks in. He's got the Powwow available to him, but no one seems particularly deterred. He comes back down and has to leave immediately. Now Keegs is in trouble, and Benji gets that last hit.
Weaken is the next victim, as Kiki's actually going to drop down first. Already 4 dead members from LG. Only Clout remaining standing, and eUnited with this Fire Giant. They want more than just that left side Phoenix. They want the game.
And I think they're going to be able to find it here, Toli, in dominant fashion. Game 1 is in the sights of eUnited. Only Clout is standing and trying to defend. There's nothing the lone Hachiman can do, even with a horse. eUnited are going to be able to take Game 1.
Great performance from the world defending champions, winning game number 1 in 21.5 minutes worth of play.
Wow.
17-3. And honestly, thinking back about this item Polynomicon for Benji, just to elaborate more on it, you have so much cooldown reduction here in your build anyway, the fact that you're spamming them and you're weaving basic attacks to get the animation canceled.
Yes.
So it makes a lot of sense when you're ahead, just to min-max your damage.
Getting plenty of extra damage there, and that's sort of the freedom that being ahead affords Benji at this point in the game. And speaking of being ahead, it happened so quickly, it feels like, Toli. This game really got away from LG quickly, and it kind of makes the question of who's the MVP here hard to answer.
Very difficult, but at least we can safely say it's someone from eUnited.
Oh yeah, without a doubt, it's going to be someone from eUnited. Maybe, you know, maybe
Give it to
Benji.
the coach.
Yeah, maybe Venenu. It's hard to say. They all had
These
really
players
great
don't
games.
deserve it. Give it to their coach.
Yeah, give it to the coach. But really, it was just so well done by them as a 5-man unit. PolarBearMike's rotation early on, I think, helped control so that Venenu was able to escape that early gank. They eventually would come back with 3 members to get that gank, but I mean, it was just played so well by all of them.
It's difficult to say, honestly. You could just flip a coin between Screammmmm and Venenu.
Well, we'll go ahead and get it over to the desk, get a little bit more of their thoughts about what happened there in Game 1.
Thanks a lot, friends. That that game certainly happened. I feel like I started watching the game, got up and went to the bathroom, and it was over. 22 minutes, 21 minutes? What a quick one. Games have been going quicker and quicker, though.
It's been very, very fast, and I think a large part of the reason for this is it kind of just got away from Luminosity in the early game. I still stand by that I really like the concept behind their team composition. I think that it was just heavy execution that wasn't able to become a factor because of the fact that eUnited just met them with so much pressure early on.
Yeah, I mean, just look at the numbers alone. Just able to bring out so much of the damage and Scream, 0 deaths in this game. He's going to be your most valuable player.
Not the only one either from eUnited. I mean, there was 3 different members, and it felt like it was impossible to do anything to Scream. He just had so much dive potential because of everything that Benji was able to assist him with. He didn't really have to be overly concerned. He was just all focused on finding the picks for his team, and because of that large lead he established early on, he just carried it over into the mid-game. And I mean, in this context, unfortunately, the mid-game is right around the 14-minute mark. It's just, I think these games are starting to speed up a little bit because the teams, while the competition has also been raised, the teams are way more familiar with each other also. This is 2 splits in now, and we're not at the start of the summer split either. This is like, what, week 4?
Yeah, you're heading into week number 5 soon. So just